Welcome to AU's Eagle Family Webinar Series. My name is Samantha Caruth. I'm the Associate Director for Family Engagement, and I'm so excited that I have an amazing colleague with me here on screen, Samantha Easby, Sam Easby. So you've got double Samanthas this evening. I'm so glad you're here to learn about a wonderful topic that's integral to student life here at AU. And we're recording this session for folks to be able to watch again in the future if you need to take a look or share with your students. And with that start, we're glad you're here. Welcome. It's all yours, Sam.
Perfect. Well, like Samantha said, welcome to our session. It's All Greek to Me, which is an introduction to fraternity and sorority life for AU families. And then again, just to reiterate who I am, my name is Samantha Easby. Colloquially, if your students are talking, I go by Sam with students, and I'm the Associate Director for Fraternity and Sorority Life here at AU. And we are in the Center for Student Involvement office. Which encompasses everything on campus. So you're talking clubs, organizations, student media, student government, all of our programming boards, as well as fraternity and sorority life lives within that larger office. I just want to give a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to give a brief overview of the FSL office, kind of go through some terminology that you might be hearing around fraternity and sorority life. We'll do an overview of our three councils and what does that look like. Briefly talk about some benefits of joining. And then we'll dive a little bit deeper into our recruitment and intake processes. Talk a little bit about how we collaborate on campus with other offices, and then also just talk about some brief things that parents and families might need to know, or just some recommendations. And then we'll have some time at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So just to give a brief overview of our FSL office, like I mentioned, we fall under the Center for Student Involvement. So our director of the Center for Student Involvement, Ayana Wilson, is a crucial and critical part of our team. She does a lot of the back end support and lifting up of our issues and things that are going on campus and making sure that she's advocating for fraternity and sorority life in all spaces. And then she's also a really important part of our strategic planning initiatives as well. Like I said, my name is Sam Easby. I oversee our interfraternity council, so that is all of our fraternities on campus. And I also co-advise our Intercultural Greek Collective, which is our council that encompasses our culturally based fraternities and sororities. And then my colleague Nadir McCoy is the assistant director for fraternity and sorority life, and he serves as a direct Panhellenic advisor, which is our sororities on campus, and also help co-advises that Intercultural Greek Collective, like I just mentioned. We also have our fabulous graduate assistant, Galilea, and she really focuses on our marketing initiatives as well as working with our new member series. All of our members that join the fraternity and sorority community go through the new member series where they receive a lot of educational programming as well as an opportunity to connect and build community with one another. And she oversees that program. So just to take you through some terminology you may hear throughout this process, you might hear the word bid. A bid is a formal invitation to join an organization. Crossing, that is typically associated with our culturally based groups, that is associated when someone joins an organization. Formal recruitment, we talk about that a lot with our Panhellenic sororities. That is the formal recruitment process that takes place in the spring semester. Informal recruitment typically takes place in the fall. Headquarters, all of our organizations are nationally recognized and have a national headquarters that also helps support them as well as our office. Initiation is an event where you are actually inducted into the organization that you receive a bid from. An informational, again, associated with kind of our culturally based groups, is an information session about joining the organization. Those are typically mandatory for joining. Intake, that is just a word that we use to associate with the recruitment process for our culturally based groups. A new member is someone who joins an organization. And they are considered a new member of that organization. Legacy, If you have a family member who was in a certain organization, sometimes you're referred to as a legacy. New class or line, those are associated with the newest people joining an organization. Line is typically, again, associated with our culturally based groups. New member class is typically with our IFC and Panhellenic groups. Potential new member and aspirant are those people going through recruitment processes. And then again, our culturally based groups do have new member showcases, and you'll see those advertised on campus, and your students would see those. Those are when new members of those organizations are presented to the community, and they do a brief presentation. Recruitment counselor, Panhellenic organizations have ROGAMAs or recruitment counselors that help all the potential new members go through different processes. And then ritual, you may hear things about ritual. Usually those things are associated with induction, initiation, different pieces there. Just the ritual is what binds all of the nationally based organizations together. You could go from AU to a different campus and their ritual would be all still the same. And then just some outdated terms that you might be aware of that we don't typically use anymore is pledge, rush, colony, disaffiliate, Greek life. We use fraternity and sorority life now, nationals, and probate. And now we're just going to dive into a little bit of a council overview. So at AU, we have 3 councils, our Interfraternity Council, our Intercultural Greek Collective, and our Panhellenic Council. Our Interfraternity Council is comprised of 10 organizations, and they operate under a council that's elected by their peers. So each of these councils have students that are elected to represent their interests. So for example, the Interfraternity Council puts on events for the community at large. So for all of those 10 organizations, it could be educational programming, it could be a barbecue, it could be all of those things. The board is typically made up of multiple members from multiple organizations, and they are elected. And then they also work with the other councils as well. So we have a lot of initiatives that we call tri-council initiatives. So things like Greek Week and other large-scale events that they do, they all work collaboratively, that council leadership to put on different events and activities that they think the entire fraternity and sorority community would be interested in. Our Intercultural Greek Collective is made up of culturally associated organizations that are sororities and fraternities. So we have 7 of those organizations, 4 sororities and 3 fraternities fall under that council. And then we have the Panhellenic Council, which is our National Panhellenic sororities. We currently have 7 of those on our campus. And then here's just a list of our Interfraternity Council organizations that we have here on campus. As you can see, we have a lot of different options that students are able to join. I would say that our Fraternity Council is really, really strong, and they're doing a lot of different interesting events for all of our groups. And there's a lot of leadership opportunities there as well. Our Intercultural Greek Collective, these are the organizations that we currently have on campus. And our newest organizations are our Lambda Theta Phi Latin Fraternity and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Both of those came back in spring of 2024. So they are our newest on campus. And then, like I mentioned, our sororities, we have 7 of them on campus, and this is just a list that encompasses all of them. And then I just want to briefly talk through some of the benefits of joining an organization. So, like I mentioned previously, there's a lot of leadership development opportunities. Not only do we do a lot of leadership development trainings through our office, also national headquarters does a lot of educational programming in that space as well that students are able to utilize and go through. They also are able to go to conferences and different things through that national organization to really meet other people, connect with others, network, and then also get some of those leadership development skills. There's also a lot of opportunity for them to become a leader in their whether it's in their organization or at that council level. You can start off as a younger member and be a director and then move up to be a vice president or a chapter president, really getting to hone in on those different skills. And then at a council level, we have a lot of positions. We have a president, we have programming positions, we have social media or PR positions. Really a wide breadth of opportunity to really match whatever skills that they would like to develop that would potentially, hopefully lead to, a future job or career opportunity. Networking, you're joining a national organization that has thousands and thousands of alumni. It's a great networking opportunity. You can go from city to city. You can join different alumni organizations post-grad. You can meet other people. And also, I know a lot of our students actually get internships and different job opportunities through this networking ability. Mentorship, you get a lot of mentorship from alumni, from advisors, and then also from their peers that are older. And they can really see how those people kind of developed over time and really try to navigate and ensure that they're also getting those same skills and leadership opportunities that their peers had. Scholarship, every organization places academics as a top priority, as well as our FSL office. So most of these organizations really ensure that students are able to be academically successful. They have study groups. They ensure that if people need help, they have group study sessions. They are really actively trying to ensure that students are able to succeed academically, and that's a priority for them. Lifelong friendship, community service, campus engagement, all of those things are also strong tenets of every organization. I know most organizations place sincere or lifelong friendship as a core tenet. And really the goal is to build community, for people to meet other people, for you to have a home away from home. And that's really something that's really beneficial on any college campus. All of our student organizations are involved in philanthropic and service efforts. Many of our groups raise thousands of dollars each year for different philanthropies nationwide, and all of them are involved in community service at some level within the community as well. And then campus engagement, just working with other people, meeting people that you may not have met through your major program. And also a lot of times joining a fraternity or sorority leads to you joining other things as well. So just as we're approaching the recruitment season, I want to put a little bit of emphasis on that recruitment and intake processes that I talked about before. So we do have some eligibility requirements to go through the recruitment process. You have to be an enrolled, full-time matriculated undergraduate student. Unfortunately, graduate students are not able to join or go through these processes here at AU. If a graduate student is interested in potentially joining, they can contact alumni chapters, and there is a process for alumni initiation, but it does not happen on a college campus. They have to be in good disciplinary standing with AU. They have to have earned at least a minimum of 12 credit hours. So that's what we mean when having deferred recruitment. And that's why we typically have this webinar at this time every year, because this is the time when first year students are really thinking about going through that recruitment process, because those all open up in January. Again, AP credit, IB credit, dual enrollment, all of those things don't count. They have to be at a post-secondary institution. Transfer students are eligible as long as they have 12 credit hours from another university. And typically what we do with transfer students, we will check all of our students' GPAs just to make sure, like I mentioned, or like is listed here, all students have to earn a minimum cumulative GPA of a 2.5 out of a 4.0 scale. We will not have access to transfer students' records, so we'll just ask students to provide an unofficial transcript so we can verify their GPA requirement. I do think it's important to note here that some of our organizations may have additional or more stringent enrolled full-time may have additional or more stringent GPA requirements than our actual requirement. So that's something to note. And then just some general information about joining a fraternity or sorority. Bids or invitations to join are not a guaranteed thing. So if your student or someone chooses to go through the process, we cannot guarantee that they will receive an invitation to join an organization. We ask that people to do their research before joining. It's really important to learn about organizations and whether they would like to join, ask questions about finances, all of those pieces is really, really important that your students should really place emphasis on to ensure that they have all the information that they need to make a knowledgeable decision. Ask questions. We encourage everyone to ask questions throughout every round of recruitment, throughout the whole process before they even accept a bid. We want them to, again, be able to make an informed decision, but also they may have questions that, quite frankly, I don't have the answer to every exact organization. So it's really important that they're asking their peers questions that are meaningful to them. And then be authentic, be yourself. I know that sounds very cliche, but we really encourage students to really focus on their own values, what they want and need out of an organization, and be able to articulate that to their peers as well that are in those organizations so they can make sure that they find the right fit. So just to jump in, we're going to kind of go council by council because they do have individual recruitment processes. So to kick off with our interfraternity council recruitment process, our formal recruitment occurs January 26th through February 3rd. We do have a Meet the IFC event January 26th. Every organization will be present there, and students will have the opportunity to hear from each organization and then connect with them afterwards. That event is from 12 to 2 p.m. and it will take place in Kirtland. Bid day will be February 3rd. In between those 2 days, all of the fraternities will have individual events that students can elect to go to. And then organizations will have invitation or closed events later in the week, and then will ultimately culminate in bid day. Just some things to know about IFC recruitment. PNMs can receive multiple bids. So on bid day, they can come in and they can have multiple bids, but they do ultimately have to pick which organization they would like to join. They cannot attend any events before recruitment starts. So making sure that they aren't attending anything in that month of January while they're back on campus, but before this period starts, and they must register for recruitment to participate in and be eligible to receive a bid. Our IGC intake process. Each organization in our Intercultural Greek Collective has their own process, which includes an informational or rush meeting, selection, education process, and presentation of new members. Our interested students in joining one of these organizations should do their research on each individual organization and then attend chapter events throughout the year, and make sure that they are looking out for any information, and that's always posted on their social media. So Instagram and also the national headquarters website are great places to start when getting to know each organization, and then also being aware of what events they're putting on. Our Panhellenic recruitment process occurs before school starts. So formal recruitment this upcoming year will occur January 8th through the 12th. Some differences is that through Panhellenic recruitment, potential new members can only receive one bid. And the schedule is as follows. January 8th, PNMs are able to move into their residence halls starting at 9 a.m. And then they will have all day to move in. We will have orientation that evening, which will just be a presentation from Panhellenic about expectations and things that they can expect. And then they'll meet with their Rho Gamma or recruitment counselor that evening. January 10th, we have round one. January 11th, round two, and then January 12th is pref day, which is the last round of recruitment, and January 13th, which is bid day. All of these dates are before the semester actually starts. And then again, just some things to know about the process. You can't attend any events in January before recruitment begins. Students are required to attend all events they are invited to, and it is a mutual selection process. So throughout the week, PNMs will be making selections and so will chapters, and we'll match them up through that mutual selection process and gradually whittle them down. And then in pref round, they'll go to a maximum of two parties or two events, excuse me, and then they'll have the option to pick between those organizations if they're invited to two. And then other questions, finances, each council is really different. So it's hard to put a overarching number on. Fraternities are typically between 200 and 500 a semester. Our IGC groups, that new member fee is between $1,000 and $2,000. And our Panhellenic, that new member fee is typically more, around $800, and it will be, their dues are also between 4 and 6 a semester. Housing, there is no official housing for any organization. Here at AU, we do not have a Greek row. Some of our chapters do have chapter rooms on campus, but those are very small and only really used for executive board meetings. They're not open access to students. And then time commitment. The first semester that you join an organization typically has a slightly higher time commitment just because you will go through a new member education process. So that typically means that you attend a meeting once a week where you learn about the organization and ritual and things like that. And they might have a lot of or different social events during that period of time as well. So that is typically between 6 and 8 weeks long, and will be a little bit of a heavier time commitment than the rest of your time in your organization. After that, members are required to go to chapter meetings, which occur once a week, unless you join and decide to be a leader in that organization. That's where that time commitment kind of beefs up a little bit. But we encourage students that are in leadership to really think through and prioritize and learn time management skills so we can ensure that they're still being successful across all areas of their student experience. And then just wanted to highlight some of our campus partners that we work with on a regular basis. Obviously, we work a lot with orientation and family programs, but we also work with a lot of our campus partners to support our students with educational programming. So we work very closely with our Center for Diversity and Inclusion. They usually come in and do a lot of different presentations and educational programming for our leadership, and making sure that we are creating inclusive organizations. We work very closely with Housing and Residence Life to ensure that our students are being taken care of, and we can work with them to make sure that they have housing options for recruitment and different things like that. And then, again, working really closely with well-being programs and psychological services to ensure that we're supporting the mental health of our students. So those are just a couple highlight there. We do a lot of educational programming with those offices to ensure that our students are getting everything that they need. And then just a brief overview of what, you can do as parents to ensure that your student is making the appropriate decision about whether to join an organization. First of all, listen. Students a lot of the time just want to talk to you about the different things that they've experienced and seen. And they want to have a conversation about what maybe aligns best with them. So really taking all that information in and really making sure that they're making the best decision for them at that time. Really don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. Like, our office is always willing to answer any emails or phone calls, talk about anything that's going on or that you have questions about. We are really trying to ensure that every student, again, is making that a decision that's appropriate for them. And sometimes they need a parent to advocate for them. So we really encourage first our students to come meet with us, but we also encourage parents, if they have questions, that they are absolutely able to reach out to us. Um, Again, we really want students to find the organization that works for them. So we really want to make sure that students are doing their research, they're asking the questions during those recruitment processes that are most relevant to them and most relevant to what they want out of an organization. And then lastly, really be cognizant of financial commitments. We want to make sure that students are aware of that fraternities and sororities do cost money, and there are scholarship opportunities available, but we can't guarantee that they would get those because those are all done through the national organization. They're not done through AU. So we want to make sure that students understand that this is a financial commitment as well as a commitment of time and energy. And then that is it. Does anyone have any questions?
Checking the Q&A, I didn't see any questions come in. You presented on so many important topics. I even learned a few things as well about some of the language that is maybe from ancient times, my times, to what students are experiencing now. So I really appreciated so many parts of your presentation, including that vocabulary kind of primer. Wonderful. So I think with that said, there aren't any questions coming in. Sam, any other last tips for families to think about? Ask questions, listen to their students, be the great support that they already are. Anything else they should think of?
I think the last thing is if their student is interested, make sure that their student registers for recruitment. Sorority recruitment registration closes December 17th. And then IFC recruitment will close in January 30th. And then again, like I mentioned, our IGC groups kind of function differently. And they just have to make sure they go to those informationals. But if they're interested in joining Panhellenic or IFC, that registration is crucial, especially for Panhellenic, because if they don't register by December 17th, we cannot guarantee that they'll be able to have access to their residence hall.
Important dates. Keep in mind important dates as well. There is one question that just came in. Thank you. The question is, my student continues to hear rumors about hazing in fraternities and it's off-putting to them. What are the policies? What are AU's policies on this?
So AU does not tolerate hazing of any kind within our organizations, and we encourage any student that experiences it, whether it's in fraternity and sorority life or not, to report that to our student accountability office. And make sure that they're following up with them to ensure that we can make sure that our campus is safe and healthy and has organizations that we want to have here.
Wonderful. Thank you for that question. I think with that in mind and to see time back to our wonderful presenter, thank you, Dr. Sam Easby. Thank you, family members who've joined us this evening. Feel free to call us in New Student and Family Programs if you have any other general questions. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye now.